guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Sarah and this is B.fleye Beauty, and today we're going to do a few Christmas crafts, some easy things. We're going to start with a Christmas tree made out of thrifted glass. Now, this kind of thing is everywhere. I will say it was kind of hard to find on the cheaper side because thrift stores are outrageous right now with their pricing. Something to look for if you already have this. This is like a great craft for you to do. Great DIY. Or estate sales or more local thrift shops. I would not look at antique places. And honestly, Goodwill is outrageous, even though I did find a few things. I also found some really big pieces that I'm not going to use. I'm going to use those for a different craft. And I'm going to make kind of a smaller tree. I'm also going to make a garland, a mushroom garland with a scarf that I found and an egg carton and possibly one other thing. So let's get started on the first one. Okay, so these are my glass pieces. We're basically stacking them, gluing them together, and I got this from Dollar Tree to be the stem or the base of the tree. Oh, hello. Oh my gosh, it's perfect. So you don't actually see the base. I wanted something wooden, but this works perfectly. I would say all of these things thrifted or a few things that I had on my own ended up being about 10 bucks. So not bad for a beautiful Christmas tree. Let's get started. All right, guys, so I have all my pieces of glass all rounded up. I've got my level because you're definitely going to need this since you're stacking bigger pieces. I'm going to start with my Dollar Tree candle stand. I'm going to just make sure that that first piece of glass is level before I start gluing it on. First piece was pretty easy. I will say that you have a couple of options with glue. You could use just the E6000 like I did. And it does give you some positives because you have time or wiggle room to maneuver your pieces around if you don't like how they look, or they may not be level. But I will say if you want more sturdiness and you want them to stay stable while you stack the next ones, using hot glue on top of the E6000 will help you do that. I just did not do that on this day. I put the E6000 on all the high points so that the glass would touch only those spots, making sure that it's level before I stack the next pieces. I did have to maneuver it around again, and because I only used the E6000, I did have that opportunity to adjust as I went. The only sucky part is you do have to wait a good 24 hours for it to be solid before you can really move it around without tumbling off. So once I had that first piece level, I planned my next piece, stacked them how I think I wanted them to go, and you can tell that the hot glue might have been a positive because nothing is very hard to get everything to say. Ta-da! Okay, so now that I knew how I wanted them stacked, I decided to make sure that bottom piece was centered, though it was level. I do end up flipping it upside down to make sure that it is centered on the piece of glass so we don't end up with more of a Grinch style tree. Then I'm going to take the E6000 and hit those top pieces of glass. Because they're textured, not every piece needs to be covered with the glue. I'm going to check one more time for the level before I stack my next piece, and then again putting the E6000 on those high points, a little bit on top of everything by the end of it, just to make sure that everything was secure and if I missed a piece. Taking you fast forward here because it's the same process for each piece. You can wait for each piece to dry completely overnight, or I just waited a few hours in between instead. And then the pieces in the middle, I stacked kind of right on top of each other and just watched. And then I waited on the last piece. All right, I've glued everything on and it's kind of slippy slidey. So I'm not going to do the last piece. Not entirely sure this needs to be the last piece. So we're going to let this dry for now and I'll let you see it all at the end. So cute. All right, I wasn't sure if I wanted to put the ring holder on top, but I think it makes the tree. So I'm going to put it in its spot, add a ribbon, and I'll show you what it looks like with the lights. on to project number 2. This is the mushroom garland. I found this scarf at a thrift store for like $2. You could also use a piece of trim with any fringe or the little balls on it, if that makes it a little easier. This was just something I found, which is why I'm using it. I just cut it in the middle, opened it up to become a garland, and I am just making sure that all these pieces are straightened out, which they ended up not being perfectly straightened out, and that's okay with me because I kind of like the craziness of it. I put one piece of felt on the end here to see what it would look like, and I really loved it. So I went ahead and purchased 3 different colors of green felt. I love the mint. We have the traditional green and then a deeper forest green. I thought I was going to use all 4 pieces, and I ended up only using 2 per color. And so what I was going to do is cut them all out. And as you can see, I'm putting them every other color all the way across. So mint, traditional green, dark green. So I'm going to cut them all out into strips so I can tie them in between the red pieces. As you can see here, my scissors sucked. So what a good present that would be for me. I have really used up all my scissor sharpness. Maybe I just need to sharpen them and get a tool. But this actually was one of the hardest parts because my scissors sucked. So we're going to go a little fast forward here. I ended up cutting about 9 pieces per color. And now we're going to assemble them. I'm just tying them in a knot instead of a bow. And I'm going to go one color, then the next, and then all the way across that way. It did take a little bit of time just because it was tedious trying to maneuver the little pom-poms around. You can really pick any color you want. And I will say, do not sleep on thrift stores, you guys. Like, felt can be found there. So many craft supplies. You might even have a craft supply store that's like a Goodwill type thing. We have one here in Austin where people donate craft supplies. So, you know, it's kind of like a thrift store for art, and that's really cool. So I just took these pieces. These were like a quarter a slice, a quarter a piece of felt. So I literally spent like $1.50 on felt and $2 on the scarf. Literally few dollars. And then you will see the egg carton, which was used from the eggs we bought, was used to make the mushrooms. So I'm going to tie these fast forward all the way across. As you can see, it looks beautiful. Is it perfect? No. Is it beautiful? Yes. So now on to the egg carton. So we can make the mushrooms to put in between the ribbons. Now this ended up being really annoying and kind of hard to cut with my camera around my neck. You will see me struggle a lot here trying to figure out how to cut these out because I also wanted to use those center stems as mushroom tops. You could also use them as the bottom of the mushroom, but I wanted a bunch of mushrooms, and then I ended up purchasing pasta to be the stem of the mushroom. So it took me a while to figure this out. Very clumsy time. Sorry about that. You guys will be better at this than me. I'm 100% sure. Now that we have everything cut out, we need to start painting. So I ended up having about 15-ish pieces with those center stems. And now we're on to the painting. I got Freddie to help me paint. And it was actually quite fun because you can see how the other person's brain works and sees color. And I am not a person who likes or needs perfection. I really am kind of a messy crafter, and I just want to throw stuff on and get it done. It is fun and relaxing for me, but I don't do this for the precision. I do this for the fun of it. So when you do a craft, don't worry about perfection. Just have a good time and get it done. It'll look pretty, I promise. No one is going to see the imperfections. It was just really, really fun to play with color and see how they all turned out on top of the cardboard. Once they dried, we ended up putting some little polka dots on there as well with different colors. and they ended up looking super duper cute. All right, we've done our initial first coat, and then once these dry, which they should dry very quickly because they're on like a cardboard situation. So we're just gonna add some dots when they're done, and then I need to get some pasta to be the stem. All right, so here you will see I just threw some gold paint on top of these, painted them up and let them dry. And now I'm going to glue all these pasta stems into the cardboard, and that it really stuck really well with hot glue. I mean, the cardboard is a great medium to use because it sucked up the paint, dried really quickly, the pasta dried really quickly, and they glued together really nicely. This part went very quickly, and I think I only let them sit for a few minutes before I started connecting them all together. So here I took the ornament wire and I just poked a hole with like a safety pin, poked 2 holes, and then I squished all the rest together underneath the mushroom. And now I'm going to take some yarn that I had. I might not have picked this color, but it's what I had. So I'm going to loop it through the wire and tie it. All right, we are done. This might be one of my most favorite things I've ever made. It is not perfect. It's kind of all over the place, and I love it. I love the mix of the mint and the regular green, the reds and the pinks. It's my favorite way to decorate. So we're gonna go and hang it up, and I'll show you what it looks like all together.